Goofed it up. So I would like to start the day, as we start a lot of veterans functions, and that's with the national anthem. And you guys are in for a real treat today. The aspiring a cappella are here. A group of ladies get together and they're wonderful. I heard them out at Memorial Day at the cemetery in the cold and the wind, and they sounded great out there. I can just imagine what they're going to sound like here. So with that being said, if you'd stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag is in the back of the room on the east wall.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, let's give those ladies a thank you. And you're in for a real treat, because when I'm done running my mouth here, everything is said and done, they're going to sing some more songs for you. Pastor Dan, you want to come up and do the invocation?
Thank you all who have served your country, especially those who are being honored today with a quilt. The Apostle Paul said in the book of Romans that all government was established by God, and those who serve their country in the armed forces are God's servants who do not bear the sword in vain, but protect our country. And so we're honored to be a part of that, these men and women who've served our country do not just serve their country, but they serve out a heavenly calling. And that's a special thing that we are holding in gratitude today. Would you please bow your heads with me as I pray? Father in heaven, we thank you for this time together to remember and to honor service to country and service to you. We thank you for your presence among us today, and we ask that you continue to be here as we, throughout this time, as these who have served their country well are honored and receive these quilts. We thank you so much for all that has been put together to make this happen, and we are just thankful for the moment that we have now. And we pray this all in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Dan. I got one more important thing to do, and then I'm going to turn it over to Peggy and the aspiring a cappella. Helen, you want to come up here? You all got a red ticket when you came in. We have a door prize every Wednesday. It's not much, but we do give something away every Wednesday. So I'm going to call off the last three numbers once Helen picks out a ticket here. And then if you would see me after the ceremony, I'll give you your choice of prizes. The last three numbers are 691. 6. Okay. All right. All right. See me after the ceremony, and I'll give you your choice of prizes. Peggy?
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for having us today. It's our honor and our privilege to sing for you. As stated, we did sing at the memorial event, and yes, it was chilly that day. But so happy to be here today, and we want to personally, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your service as well. And we have a few patriotic songs for you this morning.
Beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
When you see someone in a uniform, someone who serves us all, doing military duty and answering their country's call, please take a moment to thank them for protecting what you hold dear. Tell them that you are proud of them and make it very clear. Just tap them on the shoulder, give a smile and say, thanks for what you're doing to keep us safe in the USA. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home, my home.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We just want to take one quick minute to explain who we are. We are aspiring a cappella. The four of us all work at Aspirus Riverview Hospital. One of us is about to jump ship, but not far. We're letting Kathleen go to help get the new Stevens Point facility up and running. My name is Peggy King. I'm executive assistant to the CEO, and I've been with Aspirus for over 26 years. The last 2 years here at Riverview, prior to that at another Aspirus facility in Medford. I sing the high part, the tenor part, so the ones that, what do you say, only the dogs can hear. That's me. And I'm going to let each of the ladies just step over to the mic and introduce themselves before we do our next song.
Good morning, I'm Rhonda Elft, and I also work at Aspirus Riverview. I've been there going on my 9th year, 22 if we include before childbirth. And so I am an administrative assistant in the Office of Medical Affairs. So we do work with all the physicians and their credentialing and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I sing the lead, which is the part you all will probably recognize the most. It's the melody. And so I am the most important, because if you didn't have the melody, you wouldn't recognize the song, just saying.
Whatever. And I'm Cindy Orzel. I also work at Aspirus. I'm in human resources, so I like to think I have a hand in keeping the hospital employees in line. I sing the baritone part, which is very bizarre. If there's any Sweet Adelines in the audience, you know what I'm talking about. But in the chords, I fill in all the notes that don't make any sense. So I'm sorry if you're sitting directly in front of me. I apologize in advance.
And Cindy, what she doesn't say about herself, she is our leader. She's the one who teaches us all this great technique and brings us all this wonderful music. So she deserves.
They are
And my name is Kathleen Orminski. I have to apologize, I sound funny because I had a dentist appointment this morning and my mouth is still pretty half numb. I sing the part that everybody really loves. I sing the bass because it's the low notes and a lot of people can't sing or hum a tune, but they can sing the low notes. I am the ER director. I've been with Aspirus Riverview for 8 years, and as he said, I'm actually going to be stepping out a little bit and helping and taking over as the director of our ER and walk-in at our new Stevens Point clinic that is currently under construction. So not going too far. I'm actually going to have a foot in both doors for a while. One of the things that we have enjoyed doing is we actually do a lot of, there's an event that Aspirus sponsors for women. It's called Aspiring Women. And that's how we actually got kind of started with things. And there's a lot of different topics that we present on a monthly basis. There was one in particular, we like to spoof a lot of the songs and we have a lot of fun with that, but there was a time that we had a little bit more of a serious subject and we had talked about narcotic overuse and people who overdose. And I had shared a story, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with the story from Horatio Spafford. Back in the late 1800s, he lived in Chicago with his wife and 4 daughters. He worked very close with D.L. Moody at the time. And then during the Chicago fire, he actually had lost a lot of properties and it was really a hard time for them. So he had decided that they were going to follow D.L. Moody across the ocean for a revival they were doing. And he was detained. His wife and 4 children had gone on ahead of time. And the boat that they were on had capsized and he lost all 4 of his daughters. When he went the following week, about the same place where the ship had sunk, he had coined the phrase, "It is well with my soul." And I'm sure you guys are very familiar with this song. We don't bring this up to bring sad memories. We bring this up because out of bad and sometimes sad situations, things that call you to service, things that call you away from your family, things that happen, that there's always something bigger planned. God certainly had a big plan in his life, and he and his wife did heal. They had more children. So for us, this is a song of hope, and we thought it would be appropriate to share with so many of you who have served in so many ways. Those of you who are family members and friends, we all have somebody that has sacrificed in one way or another, whether it be physically or emotionally, and so we just want to give you an encouragement of hope. Thank you.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well, with my soul, with my soul. It is well, with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll, and the trials
dry throats too. Before we do our last song, I just want to take a moment to thank you for inviting us. It's our honor to be here. You owe us no thanks. We owe you, veterans especially, a huge word of gratitude. My father's in the crowd, my mother's in the crowd. Whether you served in your military role for a few weeks or a few decades, every moment you were away from your family, we owe you that a tremendous level of gratitude. So we thank you for this honor to share today. We hope we touched you in a special way. I'm going to leave some flyers on the quilt table that just tell you about our group. In case you'd like to reach out to us, we'd love to come and join your group sometime in the future. So I don't believe I've missed any announcements. We're going to sing our last song for you, and again, thank you for inviting us.
This is my country, land of my birth. This is my country, grandest on earth. I pledge my allegiance, America the bold, for this is my country, to have and to hold. America, my home.
Thank you very much. And one of the reasons I asked these ladies here is because I know there's a couple people out there, Joan, that run different things, and there you go. There's something to have. I'm telling you, one more time, let's give them a round of applause. Everyone. Okay, without further ado, Sue, where are you? I'm gonna introduce Sue Johansson. She leads the Material Girls. And the reason we are here today is for these gentlemen sitting right in front of you right now. They're gonna get their Quilt of Valor, and I'm gonna turn everything over to Sue. Sue, come on up, and I am. No, Sue has been calling me for the last month, telling me how nervous she is and everything, but she'll do well. Thank you.
I'm not a public speaker, but he's decided I am, so here I am. I'm humbled to stand before you who have served our country, performed your duty, and fought for the freedoms we have today. I'm eternally grateful to each of you and thank you for your sacrifice. My name is Sue Johansson. I'm the daughter of an Army veteran that fought in both World War II and Korea. I'm with the Wisconsin Rapids Material Girls. We're a group of about 80 women and 1 man who make Quilts of Valor as one of our service projects. The Quilts of Valor was started by Catherine Roberts in 2003. She was a midwife and a Blue Star mom. Her eldest son was deployed to Iraq. She always said she was 10 seconds away from panic while he was deployed. Catherine founded the foundation with the image of a combat warrior struggling with his war demons. Today we recognize the war demons that veterans live with every day. Thousands of quilters are hard at work making the quilts for warriors of all the conflicts. Catherine envisioned that Quilts of Valor would be our civilian equivalent of a Purple Heart. These quilts would be awarded and not just passed out like magazines and videos. They would unequivocally say, "Thank you for your service, sacrifice, and valor in serving our nation." A Quilt of Valor is not a charity quilt or a blanket. It is a quilt consisting of 3 layers. The top of the quilt with its many colors, shapes, and fabrics represent the communities and the many individuals we are. Each stitch in the quilt represents the love, gratitude, and sometimes the tears of the maker. The batting is the center of the quilt. Its warmth, it represents the hope that this quilt will bring warmth, comfort, peace, and healing to the individual who receives it. The backing is the strength. It holds the many pieces of the quilt together. It represents the strength of the recipient, his family, our communities, and our nation. Quilts of Valor is a volunteer organization. We have about 25 quilters and 5 long arm quilters who donate their time and talents to make all of the quilts. The UPS store in Wisconsin Rapids has donated all the certificates. Carol Prowl of the Cotton Thimble Quilt Store has made a donation of space for our sew days, materials, and time. A Quilt of Valor is priceless. It can never be bought. It can never be sold or raffled. It is not a birthday or Christmas gift. It is given freely from the hands and hearts of the maker and their community. A Quilt of Valor is a thank you from all of you from all of us for your sacrifice. Our Material Girls group has presented 37 quilts last year and 30 quilts, including today, this year. Today it is my honor to award the following individuals with their Quilts of Valor. Let me read the citation that will be awarded to each individual. On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, in recognition of your service and sacrifice for this nation, it is a privilege to honor and comfort you through the award of this Quilt of Valor. Though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, we award you this Quilt of Valor. So I'm going to have you each stand up as I say your name, and then the girls are going to bring a quilt over. So our first one today is Esley Schultz. Are you able to see him? Esley was stationed in Juneau, Alaska, where he surveyed a marine repair shop, and in Excursion, Alaska, where he worked in the office of an oil tank farm. He was in charge of 3 barracks of soldiers. Thank you, Esley. Paul Morrison. The reason Paul's in front is because he was supposed to go to school at 11 o'clock, so we pushed him to the front of the pack, but now his class was canceled. So he can stay. Paul is a retired SFC, Sergeant First Class with the U.S. Army. He served from 1984 to 2007. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have waited. Paul joined the National Guard at age 17 while in high school. Upon graduation, he was put into active duty. His combat tours included the liberation of Haiti, the '91 Gulf War, Desert Storm, and Desert Shield in Saudi Arabia. He also served in Iraq, where he was wounded by an IED near Al-Hazwa in July 2004. He was with the 32nd MP Company. He received a Purple Heart as a result of these wounds. He was also awarded the Army Commendation Medal with Valor. This is only given in a combat situation where you put yourself in danger. He received this for pulling soldiers out of firefight. He also received a CAB, which is a Combat Action Badge. His Guard unit also received the Meritorious Unit Citation for securing every airport in Wisconsin after the attack on 9/11 in Iraq. He was part of the 82nd Airborne Unit out of Fort Bragg. He had jumper status for 9 years. He also served in Korea, Bosnia, Croatia, Hungary, S4, stabilization after the Bosnia War, Germany when they had a return of forces, Dominican Republic to provide protection while schools and roads were built. Thank you, Paul. Bailey, could you stand? Jerry served 30 years from 1968 to 1998 in the Navy, retiring as a Master Chief Gunner's Mate E9. He served 2 tours in Vietnam, serving with River Assault Squadron 13 on the An Doc River. He was wounded during a firefight in October 1969. He was wounded again in April 1970. He has received 2 Purple Hearts. He also had a 3rd tour from 1972 to 73 on the USS McCaffrey DD-860 destroyer off the coast of Vietnam. He had re-enlisted hoping to get away from Vietnam, but was not that lucky. Thank you, Jerry. John Dakarski. John served active duty with the Army from 1969 to 1970. He served in Vietnam from December of 1969 to October of 1970. He was wounded twice while serving with the 4th Corps D, Troop 7th Squad 1st Air Cavalry. His first wound was suffered in March 1970 near the Cambodian border, and the second wound came on September 1970 near Can Tho, Vietnam. He received 2 Purple Hearts. He was a sergeant in the infantry with a squad of men under him. Thank you, John. Chuck Hennis. Chuck served active duty with the Marines from 1967 to 1970. He was wounded while serving with the 4th Marine Battalion near the Laotian border in January 1969. He received a Purple Heart for his wounds. He spent 7 months in the hospital recovering. He was a Marine Corps squad leader in the infantry. Thank you, Chuck. Thomas Sachs. Thomas served active duty with the Army from 1964 to 68. He was stationed in Korea and volunteered to go to Vietnam from 1966 to November 1967. He was a member of the 1st Battalion 27th Infantry Wolfhounds 25th Infantry Division. He was wounded in action in Chu Chi, Vietnam in January 1967. He received a Purple Heart for his wounds. Thank you, Thomas. Jerry Zeman. Jerry served active duty with the Army from 1967 to 69. He was in Vietnam from November of 1967 to May of 1968. He was wounded in action near Can Tho, Vietnam during the Tet Offensive in May 1968 while attached to the 4th Infantry 1st Battalion Echo Platoon Recon. He was awarded a Purple Heart for his wounds. He spent 3 weeks in Japan and another 10 months in Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver recovering from his wounds. Thank you, Jerry. James Campbell. James retired from the Marines as a lieutenant colonel. He was a Vietnam-era veteran. Jim was attached to the Helicopter Marine Attack Squadron 269, preparing to deploy to Vietnam when the Marines never stopped sending Cobra helicopters to Vietnam. He was on the USS Incon in the Arctic Circle, Norway in 1972, had a mid-cruise deployment to Egypt and the Arabian in 1973. He was also called out to rescue Americans out of Cairo when the Russian gunboats shot at them in 1973. He was an intelligence officer and a jumper, making 24 jumps out of perfectly good airplanes. He has 2 sets of gold wings. He was also stationed in Glenview, Illinois. Jim is the co-founder and vice president of marketing for the Never Forgotten Honor Flight, which originates out of Central Wisconsin Airport in Mosinee, Wisconsin. The Honor Flight has served 2,563 veterans on 28 flights since 2009. Flight 29 and 30 will fly this fall. Thank you, James. Ron served active duty with the Marines from 1964 to 1968. He was in Vietnam from 1965 to 1966, serving as an artillery communications RTO, which is radio telephone operator, and as a forward artillery observer. After Vietnam, he served at Headquarters 6th Marine Division as a brig guard at Norfolk, Virginia. Thank you, Ron. Dennis served active duty with the Army from May 1969 to November 1970. He was in Vietnam from October 1969 to November 1970 as a truck driver with the 47th Transportation Company at Tanker Valley on Long Bin Post. He drove every day an 18-wheeler truck with 5,000 gallons for the JP-4 jet fuel used for helicopters. They went in convoys to different base camps. Thank you, Dennis. Thomas served active duty with the Army from 1970 to 1973. He was with the U.S. Army Security Agency. He was in Vietnam from 1971 to 72. There he was in the 328th Radio Research Company as part of the intelligence operation. They monitored the communications of the bad guys and relayed it to the good guys. Thank you, Thomas. Robert Holtz. Robert served active duty with the Army from 1971 to 73. He was in Vietnam from March 1972 to November 1972 with the 572nd Transportation Company in Da Nang, Vietnam. They were a tractor-trailer unit. He drove a flatbed truck and a gun truck escort. He hauled bombs for the Air Force. Thank you, Robert. Donald Schillinger. Donald served active duty with the Army from 1966 to 1968. He was attached to the 1st Aviation Brigade 219th Recon Airplane Company, nicknamed the Headhunters in Pleiku, Vietnam, from 1967 to 68. They went out seeking the enemy from the air and called in the artillery or airstrikes when spotted. He was an observer and also a mechanic patching up the bullet holes in the airplanes. Thank you, Donald. Dean Brzezinski. Dean served active duty with the Navy. He was with the Mobile Construction Battalion 10, Fort Union, California. He served 2 full and 1 partial deployments to Vietnam. From May 1965 to December 1965, he was in Chile. From May 1966 to December 1966, he was in Da Nang and Amp. From January 1968 to March 1968, he was in Quang Tri. He was part of the Navy Seabees. They built airstrips, pipelines, and helicopter pads. Thank you, Dean.
Jeez, it's cold in here.
We have one more surprise, Mr. Bill Hack. You said you wanted a surprise. Come on over here. They can grab you. Picture of you in front of it. All I know about Bill is he served active duty with the Navy and he founded the American Heroes Cafe almost 2 years ago. So Bill is going to have to talk about himself.
I was on USS Tom Green County. Tom Green County was one of them LSTs that ran up and down the river. I was home ported in Yokosuka, Japan for 2.5 years. We were in Yokosuka for 97 days. The rest of it was Okinawa, Philippines, Vietnam. Okinawa, Philippines, Vietnam. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sue, don't go nowhere yet. I got a surprise for you, too. Tom, would you, where's Cameron?
Right here.
Okay. Come on up here, Sue. Tom Sox has something for you.
Oh, did I say your name wrong? Okay.
As Bill Allen said, I'm planner of VFW and president of Vietnam Veterans. And Bill made a challenge to different veterans organizations to donate $250 from each organization to your Quilts of, what do you call it?
Quilts of Valor.
Quilts of Valor. So on behalf of Vietnam Veterans, I'd like to present you with a check for $250. And also VFW, monthly wallet post 2534, another check for $250.
Today, that makes 63 quilts that the quilts, material girls have given out here in Wisconsin. We got another one scheduled, I think Sue told me in April. So we're going to try to get that up to 100 before the end of next year. Next week marks the second anniversary of the Heroes Cafe. As of this morning, now before the count was taken this morning, we had 8,673 people that have used the Heroes Cafe. We're shooting for 10,000 before Christmas, and if you happen to be that 10,000th one, we got a surprise for you too. Right now, I'd like to call Pastor Dan up here, and he wants to say a few words, and then we have a closing song by Rick Nickel.
Thank you, Bill. In light of the 2-year anniversary of the Heroes Cafe, I'm Pastor Dan DeRoche. I'm the senior pastor here at Crossview Church, and on behalf of our staff and our membership, we just want to say thank you for your service and let you know how much of an honor it is for our church to host this Heroes Cafe. We are so glad you're here every week, and we're just very, very thankful for your service and also for the time you spend here at Crossview Church being with one another. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for giving us the honor of hosting you. So thank you.
Well, if any of you have ever been to a concert, you always know that there's an opening act, then there's always the closing act. Unfortunately, my opening act set the standards way too high. In the life of a military person, there's always something that they always look forward to. One of them, their discharge day. If you served overseas, you always looked for the end of your tour of duty. And of course, there was always the ever popular monthly paycheck. So those are always some of the things that we always look forward to. But there was one thing that I think all of us will agree with, that what we look for the most, and that's what this song is about. So hopefully I'll make it through it. My dearest son, it's almost June. I hope this letter catches up with you and finds you well. It's been dry, but they're calling for rain. Everything's the same old same in Johnsonville. Your stubborn old daddy ain't said too much, but I'm sure you know he sends his love. And she goes on in a letter from home. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, and they all laugh like there's something funny about the way I talk when I say Mama sends her best, y'all. I fold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work, and it keeps me driving on, waiting on letters from home. My dearest love, it's almost dawn. Been lying here all night long, wondering where you might be. I saw your mama and I showed her the ring. Man on the television said something, so I couldn't sleep. But I'll be alright, I'm just missing you. And this is me kissing you. X's and O's in a letter from home. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, and they all laugh 'cause she calls me honey, but they take it hard 'cause I don't read the good part. I fold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work, and it keeps me driving on, waiting on letters from home. Dear son, I know I ain't written, but sitting here tonight alone in the kitchen, it occurs to me I might not have said it, so I'll say it now. Son, you made me proud. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, and no one laughs 'cause there ain't nothing funny when a soldier cries. And I just wag my eyes. I hold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work, and it keeps me driving on, waiting on letters from home. So if anybody knows anybody in the service who's currently serving, please write them a letter. It's much better than a text.
Okay, a couple things. I know you guys are getting hot under the quilts. I just want to thank you all for coming. This is the best cafe we've had yet. I think a lot of things made that happen, and especially these gentlemen sitting right in front of you right now. So let's give them a final round of applause. And I'd also like to thank one other special person that's here, the lady that provides us breakfast just about every week, and that's Kelly. Kelly, would you stand up? If you're looking for a place to eat, there's Grace's Cafe. And thank you all for coming, and that's it. That's all.